first question I have for you, what makes the halal process so different than other meats at the source?
Khadija, if you'd like it, Khadija or?
Pardon? Okay.
I don't approach it the difference or anything of that. I kind of look at the similarity of what we have in common. And I think if you look at some of the tenets that's in Islam, in the halal process, you're not supposed to be with dark, poison darts. You're not supposed to contaminate the head with that, or something like that. It should be something that we have to become conscious of. We're much more conscious around the environment. Okay, so let me take it from here. So that being the case, I like to allow for this society that we're living in right now. And most of our food has been contaminated with poison. It's not healthy. It's an effort that all of us should be moving towards the health of the best, Maine, grown grain, good stuff like that. Good hay that's made, that's grown right here in Maine. We get to oversee the process, and so that we can make sure that the animal is being treated properly, handled properly. Once the animal comes into our particular care, then I have a responsibility. I have to make sure that the animal is being treated properly. I have to make sure that it's in a good, healthy condition. Fed properly. If it's sick, I can't actually sell it at that particular time. It should be in an open environment, not enclosed and things like that. So those are some of the things that I think when you apply aloud to our situation now, those are some of the things that we can say we have in common. Because I don't believe anybody really wants to eat the food that's been produced as a food. So part of the halal is a community effort. I honestly believe that. And in this community, everybody's moving towards a better life. Then I think some of those principles that's there in our religion and in our consciousness now could be something that we can all move forward. So I'm gonna let Khadija add to that if she can, but I think that's how I basically see the halal situation right now.
Halal just something impermissible. In Islam, we are asked to treat the animal, like I would say, in a better way, and slaughter it in a way that we are not stressing the animal and we are not treating it as the animal are treated right now. So at the end of it, we end up with a better quality meat. You are what you eat. If the animal was stressed when you were slaughtering it and raising it, what you will eat will be the result of what the effort you had put into that animal. So in general, halal meat is just better for you.
Dawud, how are you approaching the halal meat production that can bridge the different cultures and religions on the farm?
Again, I think all of us want to eat some healthy food, right? And so what happens is, for me, I'm looking at people that say that they're conscious, they're in this particular mode that they're doing it mainly for their community, they're doing it for themselves. And so what we're doing is trying to make it a way where we have a nice clean environment, water that's there where people have access to the water, good, clean, sharp knives, and make it in so that when an individual comes there, they know that they're in the process. They can have it in a spiritual mind, they're not in a rush. They know that when they come there that the animals are healthy. They have the choice of either allowing me to do the process or either they could do it themselves. I had one individual come out to the farm and he brought his children. And he said that this is something that's mandated on our community, that this is part of the culture. This is something that our young men need to do. They need to practice this. And this man was a Christian. Okay, so the halal process or the concern or the consciousness is something that I think that what we're doing at our farm is saying, listen, what is it that you actually want? We want goat. Okay, what else? We need the consideration that we use all parts of the animal. So we need some way in which we can process, maybe people test and things like that. So those are some of the things that we're actually trying to provide. Along with that, you could be a consumer, or you could actually get involved in the process of learning how to raise the animals, become a part of the farm community. This is the word that has been bouncing around. It makes sense, but it's kind of difficult to employ. But cooperate with other members of the community, and that's what we basically do. We said we have the vegetables here where you can have vegetables. You can learn how to raise your vegetables. You have the animals, the stalls in which you can come here and learn how to raise your animals in a nice, clean place. And get into the network of the farmers network where you could be able to purchase hay, grain, and other supplies at a lower price so we could keep the price down for the people. So that's what it is.
Excellent, thank you. Mary or Khadija, I take this one. What is the importance of bringing halal meats to the schools specifically?
Well, I'd like to tell you a little story about how this whole thing started.
Sure.
Alicia and I, if I may. The pandemic started, and initially we thought we were going to be out for 2 weeks, and it turned out that that whole school year, the students were off site, and remote, and so we had to deliver meals to them, and thus we would prepare the meals and wrap them, and the bus drivers would deliver them to students' homes. And at one point, my highest was over 700 meals every day. Going out to the families in Westbrook for the students every day. And so it was not just the meal, but it was also a check during the day. And especially we had a lot of middle school families. So the parents really appreciated that someone was stopping by and checking their child during the day as well. So that's how the pandemic started. And I knew that I was kind of looking ahead a little bit and thinking, well, I really need some funding here to help me keep doing this. And especially for delivery and night distribution, trying to get parents that are working, trying to have distribution of meals in the later hours and whatnot. So I applied for a No Kid Hungry grant. It was $26,000. It was to help me with bringing meals to the kids. And I thought, well, that's a lot of money. What else can I do? What can I do that can have lasting impact? And as a school lunch director, this is my 17th year, I go into cafeterias every single day, and I don't look and see what the children are eating, and look at what the lunches are from home, but I'm also looking especially for the kids who are not eating. And sure enough, in every cafeteria, I've been able to find them. I shouldn't say every single cafeteria, but I have found them in the course of my 17 years, and there are a number of them. And when I approach the child and say, hey, what's going on? Why aren't you eating today? And there's different reasons, well, my parents said that we can't afford school lunch, and they want me to make my own, and I didn't make it, and blah, 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 different stories. Also, since I've been in Westbrook, there was a number, and it happened to be middle school boys, was one of the groups I spoke with, and it was because they're halal. They followed halal diet, and we didn't offer the offerings, and they weren't sure about what was in the food that we offer. And that's when I said, oh boy, we've got to do something here. And so that, when I wrote the grant for the $26,000, it was to bring culturally appropriate meals into the Westbrook School District. And really, initially, it was to bring the meals, my first thought was to kind of expose people, learn something about someone else when we eat the food, that it's their, food from their past, their culture, their families. And so I wanted to be able to prepare meals that were familiar to, especially our immigrant families that are coming from other countries. So they're cooking a meal and they could say to their friend, well, this is something that I ate when I lived in wherever, and they could start talking about that, just simply bridging a gap. And then what I realized is I need to have more offerings and education for the kids about what's in our food and what is halal and what is not. And so that's the road that we're on. And now I'm wondering what the original question is, because so I apologize, I went
The
off
initial
track.
question was, why is it important training halal meats to the schools specifically? And
It's that one, it's the kid that isn't eating in the cafeteria. That is the reason. This is a population that we're not serving, and so it's so important. I mean, that's my child that's not eating. That would break my heart. I'm just thinking of the child that isn't eating. So
So you've been working with Khadija to get the halal meats to the schools. How are you approaching serving the halal meats to the schools? Are you doing separate menus? Are you expanding on your offerings, or?
yes and yes. Well, not separate menu at this point. It's a learning process. Okay, I think we're early in the game. We're using. I'm going to give you an example. I just told my eating this matter of fact. I received from whichever food banks some ground chicken that was halal. Okay, and we used it like for tacos, and we used it in the Mexican meatloaf recipe. Okay, and my staff's wonderful. They're very caring, kind ladies. And we made Mexican meatloaf, but we put cheese on top because they said, "Oh, Mexican meatloaf needs some cheese to it," but we don't know if the cheese is halal or not. You see. So we advertised this as halal, but it was actually with the cheese not really halal. So it's a learning process in doing it. So that's how we're approaching it. And I do want to have more education so that the children will have choices that are halal. So we're early right now.
So to answer your question, to me, it is about inclusion. It is about that fact that we sending the kid to school and they are already feeling out of place because they're speaking a different language, they're coming from a different culture, and each one of us remember when we were younger, how being in a new place makes you feel. So now we're asking these children that we're sending out there in the new school to go and perform often better than the other kid, just to explain and signify that, guess what, because I don't understand the language doesn't mean I'm less smart. I am a child like the other child, and then we send them to the lunchroom and give them nothing to eat because we are not acknowledging their culture, we are not acknowledging their heritage, and we expect them to go back to school hungry and function that way. And it's been going on for so long. I remember when we first arrived in the United States, my brother Ali, who at the time was at the middle school, wanted to play football. But my mom, being a working mom, a new immigrant, when you get here and you start working, you really don't have time to prepare those 3-4 hours meal that you normally been used to preparing. So my brother would go to school with no lunch, and it was because the school said we have a lunch for you. But when he got to school and found out it was pizza and it was burger and the meat wasn't halal for him, he would spend the whole day maybe with just fruit or whatever he was able to eat. Then he won't be able to perform well at school. Then he won't be able to play the game that he wanted to play. So at the end of the day, he was put in this category of children who just aren't performing well, aren't behaving at school. It's all because he was hungry. And he carried that through middle school all the way to high school. This is so important to me. I told Megan when she hired me at the interview that, listen, this is what I do for free. If you pay me, of course I'll take the job because this is my everyday. I wake up, I sleep, and I think about these things because not only I experience it, but as a Black mother, as a Muslim mother, I think about my children at school, what they get to eat, it, and I also go back and think about my privilege of being able to prepare a home lunch for them. And these are their parents who have no ability of preparing this lunch. They have the ability, but they lack the capacity because they don't have the time. They have to go to work. And the children, even when you do prepare the lunch, because your food looks so different than your friend's food, you don't feel like bringing your lunch out. Sometimes they just take it back. So that's where my work with Mary comes. So we can teach other children to look at other food as differently as just, this is you, what is this brain looking this way? I experienced that with my own kid when I will give them food and they'll take it to school. First day, their friend will make faces. Second time, their friend will taste it. And then after that, I'll be talking to their mother, asking for recipe. Or just be packing extra, like, why are you taking all this food? Or my friend asked me to pack all of this for them. So doing all of this, working with school is that important. It is very important for us to fight for the future and make sure that the children we're sending at school are receiving our best, because we want them to be the best version of us.
I want to say thank you to you all for everything.
Before panelists go sit down in the audience, back here, questions for the panelists?
I have a question for Khadija and Mary. Thank you. I'm curious how, I know you're in the early phases of this, but I'm curious how your work in Westbrook, how do you intend to take it to other schools in other parts of the state?
So we started at Westbrook the year, 2 years ago, before I started working for Wood Shepherd. But now, as we speak, we are offering culturally relevant meals in Portland School, in South Portland School. It's all about the director. If the school director is willing to work with you, there will be change made. We have this very exciting program with the South Portland School where every month I bring in a chef from a different culture, from a different country, who comes and bring their culture, cook that food, and we attach it with the education part where the students at school get to learn about that culture, hear about that food, find out about it first, and find out about their colleagues who are in the classroom with them. So when they have that meal, they are celebrating that tradition, they are celebrating that culture. The hope is, of course, to take it all over America, but
I'm actually with the Maine School Nutrition Association. I'm the Secretary Treasurer of the Maine School Nutrition Association, and we're hoping that our work, Full Plates Full Potential is an anti-hunger group that's primary purpose is to end childhood hunger in Maine. And they were kind of behind the Universal Meals Bill, And we just received an innovation grant. We just received notice that it was approved, an innovation grant, and it's for culturally appropriate foods to be brought into the Portland, Westbrook, and South Portland school districts. So we'll be working on that grant with Khadija, Chef Sam, and also the training communities out of Portland. So that is work that we're going to be doing, and we're also going to use the Maine School Nutrition Association as a vehicle to help educate other directors throughout the state. And I think, you might find some communities that have a higher need, like Lewiston, for example, it might be one, but Fort Kent, that's something that, even though they might not have a very high diversity rate, they want to, just simply increase the knowledge of their students about different types of foods as well. So I think it's information that is going to be well received across the state.
When Khadija says she'll take this nationwide, just look her back up in a few years, I guarantee you she'll do it. Other questions for Dawud or Khadija, Mary? Yes.
I am a great time. Hi, I'm Luke, and a while ago, I was part of Panelists. It's not really education, it's more of support to what Khadija was mostly sharing about Hala. And Mufalo and I worked closely with Panelists to try and bring ethnically diverse products on the shelves of Panelists to make sure that the local immigrants, the immigrant community that's establishing itself here will feel comfortable and welcome, not just in the way of being part of different programs that are welcoming them, but also maintaining their way of life and also their health. One thing that has been noticed, and it's a trend in situation within the immigrant community, is that there's quite a number of cases of type 2 diabetes and issues of overweight, and I've personally dealt with it. It took me into some type of depression. Simply because we are accustomed to a style of food that we do not find here. And sometimes when we go into the different bodegas and different stores that are here locally to try and outsource things that are similar to home, that's because we're feeling homesick, but because we know how to build and maintain our health based on what we're eating. Sometimes we get products that have traveled a long distance and that have lost the fruit quality of constructiveness. And at the end of the day, even though the intention is good, we end up getting sick or becoming overweight or developing things like diabetes, obesity, and other things that are very stressful. And I feel like there's more that can be said about this topic, and really a conversation needs to be had. It's not just all about justice and integration, but I see in it a wealth for me because there's so many stories that can be told from food, from the immigrant communities, and how this is culturally enriching Maine. Because part of what makes Maine, it's the lobster from the old port in Maine. But besides the lobster and whatever you look at as seafood from Maine, you also have things that might not be grown in Maine, but imported to Maine that are being turned into local food from the immigrant community. And there's a long conversation that we had about that could be very enriching for all of us. And I feel like there needs to be an open mic to maintain an ongoing conversation.
Thank you. Are there other questions for any of the panelists? We have a few minutes remaining.
My name is Dawud. I'm the Executive Director of Pineland, Arab American Organization, and I'm located in Westbrook, and I cannot be happier hearing Khadija share. So thank you for doing the work. My question, again, if you are fighting hunger, and I'm so happy to have the halal meat that you all are looking into providing, is there any plans for this also to be available at the pantries or for pantries to distribute to families? Because what I hear from my families is that if there is produce, if there are some cans, goods that they can use, they take it. But they wish that there is even a small portion of halal meat that they can utilize, so they can provide for their kids, for their families. So I hope there is any plans for working on it.
I think I have good news for you, Zoe. I'm gonna actually ask, I'm gonna hand it over to Kay, who is our Director of Sourcing and has been obviously working closely with Khadija, but she can talk a little bit. She just told me some numbers that really surprised me, but she can share a little bit about our sourcing.
We started carrying halal meat at the food bank and distributing it to our pantries and agencies back in October of 2021. We've since then to date have distributed 114,000 pounds of halal meats, various cuts, in various seafood as well. In addition to that, we've with the help of Marfine and Khadija, have identified some culturally appropriate foods or relevant foods, grains, something really from every category. And to date, we've distributed almost 500,000 pounds, so 402,000 pounds of culturally relevant foods. So we will continue to do that, and we're continuing to look at different cuts of halal, and again, with the help of Marfine and Khadija, continue to carry that product.
And I would just add to that, I think that there's an educational piece that has to go along with this work. And when we look across our partner network, these are small pantries that are volunteer run and who are continually building the knowledge of their communities. And so the support that we want to lend in that educational process is to help pantries really understand the makeup of their communities, who is living in your community. And so Marfine and Molly are working on a data project right now to get stronger, better, more specific racial and ethnic data to give to our pantry partners so they understand the composition of their communities, and then say to them, these are the foods that you may consider ordering and purchasing from the food bank, and then support them in getting the word out in their community. So I think that we've made great strides, and it takes sort of multiple pieces to really inform and build the awareness. So. Okay, just one more. I was being put
Thanks for
around.
your show.
Hi, I'm Kirsten Walter at the St. Mary's Nutrition Center in Lewiston. And mostly just wanted to share some things that are happening there, but pass it to Dawud to share more, because another hat that Dawud has is board member of the up-and-coming Lewiston Auburn Community Market. And for us, thinking about the spectrum of how people access food and who is holding the power of what food is available, both from free food in pantries, like many of us who are part of the network, like Fish Shepherd, but also thinking about ways where the people who are growing the food, who are processing it and selling it, are more representative of the communities that they're serving. And so I'll just say, go find Dawud to ask them about Ummah Gardens, but also about the Lewiston Auburn Community Market, which will be in downtown Lewiston and will be a hub of a low-cost, global retail market. It's a multi-stakeholder cooperative, and there's also going to be test kitchens and the ability for farmers and producers and community members to make products, value-added products to sell in the market, as well as like a cafeteria space for people to eat together and gather and have community celebrations, and then storage for farmers and community members. And I'm sharing it just because it's really exciting for us thinking about the intersection of community members who are farmers and producers, who are also coming to our food pantry to get food, who are also growing food in community gardens, who are also making and selling some of the best food in town, how to have those things come together and have job opportunities, ownership opportunities as a part of really building and changing where power and resources are sitting when it comes to food. So I'm trying up by saying, go talk to Dawud about all sorts of other things.